What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. I said it in my video earlier today, but my voice is back, which means videos are back. Tried to get this video out yesterday, just could not really talk, but we're here doing it today. It's a Friday night matchup, so you know we got to do it first, and it's a big one in the Pac-12 Conference. The Utah Utes travel all the way to Corvallis, Oregon, and they're going to take on the Oregon State Beavers. The top 20 showdown in the Pac-12. There are going to be big showdowns in the Pac-12 every single week. So buckle in. This conference is going to be a fun ride. Started out last week, continues into this week. But before we dive into this preview prediction, just got some business to take care of. Thank you guys so much for the support the channel has seen as of late. If you want to continue to show your support, hey, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. It's the biggest way you can help do that. And it also helps you know when videos get uploaded. But there are more ways than that for you guys to help me support this channel. You guys are doing one of them right now just by watching the video. And you guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys may be willing and are able to do to help me support this channel. But enough of the business out of the way. Again, as I said earlier, there are going to be big showdowns every single week in the Pac-12 Conference. We got a couple of them this week, but this is the biggest one that is taking place in the Pac-12 Conference this upcoming week. So we're going to break it down, and before we break it down, before I talk about some of the keys and what these teams have to look out for, let's take a look at the stats and how these teams have performed up to this point. The Utah offense, we're going to start out with that again. We usually start out with the road team. Utah's vaulted into the top 10 here, but for the Utah Utes entering this game, the offensive side of things are definitely going to be interesting, right? So Utah has not had, obviously, quarterback Cam Rising all year. Will that change in this game? Who knows, right? They have not had Brant Keithy, star tight end, all year. Does that mean he comes back in this game? We'll see. I'm sure a lot of you Pac-12 and Utah fans out there know how much Kyle Whittingham really talks about player updates and injuries and things like that in press conference, which is little to none. So we really, I don't think we'll have a solid idea until maybe game time comes around, maybe sometime tomorrow as I'm recording this on Wednesday, but this is a Utah offense that definitely, as the season goes along, if those guys don't get back soon, they're definitely going to be missed. And when you take a look at this running back room, Micah Bernard is already out for the year, and it doesn't help that leading rusher Jaquindon Jackson may be out fairly long-term with an injury there as well. He hasn't been fully healthy this year. And I shouldn't say long-term. We really don't know his status, kind of up in the air for this game here, right? But, and this is an offense. The offensive line has really struggled at times. They're allowing teams to get 2 sacks per game, and we'll talk about this Oregon State pass rush here in just a little bit. But you can tell this is an offense that just hasn't fully been healthy, hasn't been able to get everything to gel quite yet. That could haunt them here in this game, but we'll talk about why in just a minute. We got to pivot over to the Utes defense because it has been phenomenal, and it was phenomenal last week against UCLA. I believe they had 8.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. They absolutely lived in the UCLA backfield last week. They're allowing fewer than double-digit points per game, only 9.5. The rush defense has been absolutely superb. The third down defense has been absolutely superb. Oh, and just to add on top of it, as well as creating pressure, again, they have 14 sacks on the air. That's 3.5 per game. They're also forcing turnovers there. You got 7 turnovers forced on the season so far. So this Utah defense, kind of as we expected coming into the year, has been really, really good. Again, it's the offense that just kind of needs to get healthy and kind of needs to find its groove there. Nate Johnson has done a fairly solid job manning the quarterback position for this team, but you can definitely tell this team is missing Cam Rising, Brant Keithy, and some others. But when we pivot over to the Beaver offense, it really has not skipped a beat. DJ Uiagalelei, while yes, he hasn't been absolutely world-breaking, he hasn't been fantastic, he has been very, very serviceable, and in my opinion, he's been a lot more than that as well. 828 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on 57.8% completion percentage so far this season. He's got a lot of great weapons there in that wide receiver room, most notably Silas Bolden and Anthony Gold there, right? Both of those guys over 200 yards receiving on the season. But this running back room is also really, really good, right? Damian Martinez, Deshaun Fenwick are two absolute dudes in the running back room. Oh, not to mention Uiagalelei tacks into the run game as well. He has 5 rushing touchdowns on the season, and that leads the team. This team's offensive line is really, really good. They don't turn the ball over. The third down conversion rate is really, really good. Everything seems to be clicking pretty nicely for the most part. Again, Uiagalelei can fix a couple things here and there, but for the most part, this is an Oregon State offense that has looked very, very sound, and it's a defense that got tore up by Cam Ward and the Washington State Cougars last week, but for the most part, it's been a very, very sound defense. Again, they really got torn up through the air, just kind of going to happen here in the Pac-12 conference, given all of the notable and really, really good quarterback performances we've seen out of this conference so far this season. But the defense has been superb in the rush game, allowing fewer than 70 yards per game on the ground. Again, that points total kind of blown a little bit out of proportion based on what Washington State did last week, but the third down defense for the most part has been phenomenal. They've been able to force turnovers, and they're getting pressure to the quarterback, right? Much like Utah. Again, that Utah number may be a little bit inflated as they did have 7 sacks last week, but the Oregon State defense, guys, 13 sacks on the season, 3.25 per game. And again, I'm not trying to limit that to what Utah did. That was an absolutely phenomenal defensive performance, and that defensive line is phenomenal at creating pressure. Just really thrived last week, was able to double its total. Oregon State has got that there as well. So, I mean, when you go ahead and take a look at offensively, defensively, I definitely give Oregon State the edge offensively. You may give Utah the edge defensively there, which makes for a pretty interesting game here that's going to take place in Corvallis, which leads me into my keys for the game, what to watch for, just kind of some things that I think you should keep your eye on while you are watching this game, and some things that maybe I expect or that you should expect both teams to really work on or to actually do. I have a question for Utah, though, right out of the gate. Without Cam Rising, without Brand Keithy, without Micah Bernard, and possibly without Jaquindon Jackson as well, if this game becomes a shootout, and if Oregon State puts up, well, maybe let's say 21 points in the first 20 minutes, is this Utah offense going to be able to keep up? Again, it's a Utah offense that has just been kind of sluggish throughout this season. Couldn't get a whole lot going last week. Couldn't really get a whole lot going until around the final 2 minutes there in the game against Baylor. And it still really couldn't get a whole lot going in the game against Florida either, although it did more than enough that it needed to do to be able to win, right? So with all of those pieces out, is this Utah offense going to be able to keep up? Nate Johnson's been pretty solid. And then this running back room behind Jaquindon Jackson. I mean, you have Jalen Glover. Nate Johnson has shown the rushing ability here and there. But beyond that, it's kind of a mystery on what we have in this Utah running back room up to this point. But a couple other really quick hitters here. The biggest question, of course, is the offense. But keep the pressure coming in the backfield. You don't necessarily have to duplicate your performance last week against UCLA, right, and the way that Utah was able to live in the Bruins backfield, but you got to be really, really good. You got to create pressure on DJU. You got to be able to get back to Martinez and Fenwick before they can really bust it through the holes and be able to break down the field. And again, just kind of going back to that, right, can they overcome all the injuries? I know there are a couple minor injuries defensively as well, but offensively, that is the big question there, right? Can they overcome the injuries? Let's move over to the Oregon State side of things, because honestly, whatever UCLA has, which is a pretty serviceable quarterback, right, in Dante Moore, although didn't play that well last week, has been very, very serviceable throughout the entire year, if not really, really good. A very, very strong run game is what UCLA has, and a physical, punishing defense. Oregon State definitely has all of that, and they have it, I think, better. I think I'd give Oregon State the advantage in every one of that. I think up to this point, DJU has proved his serviceability and has been really, really good. Damian Martinez, Deshaun Fenwick are one of the best 1-2 punches at the running back position that the Pac-12 Conference sees, and this defense is aggressive, it's punishing, it creates pressure, it forces turnovers, it's great on third down. This I think is just going to be a more physical, tougher test than what Utah saw last week against UCLA. But what's important for the Beavers is you got to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, which is what they've done all year long, right? Again, this is a very physical, very punishing Utah defense on the offensive and defensive lines. Oregon State's been able to win that battle so far this year. You got to continue that in this game. But guys, let's just go ahead and kick off the annual Pac-12 roundtable. Kind of really started last week, but we're going to continue it into this week here. Not sure what's going on there with the animations, but Oregon State is the 3-point favorite coming in here to this game. You ended up missing their Utah's record. They currently are 4-0. They sit 1-0 in conference play. Oregon State 3-1, 0-1 in conference play. The FBI likes the Beavers here in this one. Vegas likes the Beavers here in this one, and I like the Beavers here in this one as well. I just think Utah's got too many injuries offensively, and while the defense is going to do their part to be able to keep it close, I think DJU, Damian Martinez, and this stout Oregon State offensive line will make too many plays as the Beavers win a big one here in Corvallis. And here's where things really get exciting in the Pac-12 conference. You're going to have this whole Pac-12 flurry of round tables, and it's just going to be so much fun to watch. But I think the Beavers come out on top against the 10th ranked Utah Utes this week. That's going to do it for my thoughts on this game. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.